So guys, what is going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. We're into about a week or a week and a bit of the lockdown. Is it a week now? When did we go into a lockdown? Can't remember. I think January 4th or 5th or something like that. It's 11th now, isn't it? But yeah, I hope you guys are doing all right, especially you guys in the UK. I hope you guys are keeping well. I think we're going to be in a lockdown for a while. I won't be surprised if it's till the end of March. That's what the rumors are. They officially got it out till middle of Feb for schools, but I personally think they're going to extend that because the situation right now is really, really bad. So I can see that being extended till about end of March. And then I think after the end of March, they may probably start opening school. I think personally, it's going to be a term. I think we're going to do it till Easter, and I think then after Easter, they're going to open up schools, and then they're going to go back doing that. And I think by the summer, we'll probably have everything, not everything open, but I think we'll have gyms and all of that opening near summertime. I think he's going to do it very slowly because the situation right now is dire, and I expect this in 4 or 5 weeks probably to get worse in terms of the people that are dying. So I think he's gonna have to, hopefully not. Hopefully there's not gonna be as many people dying, but I do think that he's gonna have to close it for a while just to make sure that the NHS ain't gonna get overwhelmed. Because right now it's really bad. It's really, really bad. So especially when the cases are that high and the people are dying, to start opening things would be crazy because all you're gonna do is get people get affected, and then people are gonna end up going into hospitals. So I think right now he's gonna close it. We're gonna be in a lockdown for a while. Probably not as long as what we were last year, but nevertheless we're gonna be in a lockdown for a while. But yeah, let's move on to boxing. Guys, Abel Sanchez said that Errol Spence is a special talent. He'll beat Terence Crawford. He'll walk him down, and he'll be too big for him. And he feels that Errol Spence is actually the better fighter. And he'll walk Spence down. He goes, the two guys that he saw out at the Olympics was Spence and Marcus Brown. And he said Marcus Brown had some, family issues or whatever, and he couldn't quite, he's had some problems, whereas Spence has managed to, get to the top, and he always felt he will. And he just feels that he's a special talent and he's going to beat Terence Crawford. I'm not so sure, if I'm honest with you. I've always felt that I feel Errol Spence beats Terence Crawford. But, of late, and it may be the fact that Terence Crawford is fighting guys that are not top level anymore, some of them are past their best. However, he looks a special talent. And we need to see him against some of the top welterweights. And if he can emulate the performances that he was putting in against some of those top guys, then I'm not so sure, And I've always been an Errol Spence fan over Terence Crawford. But I'm not so sure. I don't think we should be jumping the gun with that, because I don't know whether Errol Spence does walk Terence Crawford down and beat him up. I think that's the safe bet. If we're going to bet on something, that's the safe bet. But again, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not convinced. Terence Crawford is a special talent, and I think he's grown on me as I've seen him fight. But I do favor Spence in the fight, but I do feel that the percentage that I had in my head is narrowed. It's definitely narrowed. I see that fight as a 55-45 fight now in Spence's favor. I think the size is going to play a big part, but I think Terence Crawford is good enough to offset that. And I think, what's really kind of made me think that Crawford's got a great chance of winning that fight is the fact that I don't think Crawford's as small and as weak as what people make him out to be. I don't think Crawford's as chinny. I don't think he's as small. I think he's a good size welterweight now. Yes, Spence is the bigger man, but I don't feel he's that smaller. I do. I think his body is filled out, and I actually think that he can compete with any big welterweight. Because let's not forget, he just knocked out Brook, and then people say Brook was washed up. Fair enough. He was a big welterweight. Benavidez was a big welterweight. Horn was a big welterweight. Yes, they're not the most skilled compared to some of the other guys, but he beat them up. He beat them up. So I'm not that convinced anymore that I just think Errol Spence is going to win comfortably. I favor him in the fight, but I need to see it now. I think it's one of those fights where it's such a big fight, and it's a fight that everybody wants to see. And it's such a competitive fight, the way I view it. I just want to see the fight. I want to see this fight. I want to see who comes out on top. I've heard a lot of talk. I've heard a lot of smack. I've heard a lot of rubbish from both sides about 70-30, 60-40. Let's get this fight done. Let's not, I think if this fight doesn't happen in 2021, I'm not sure we're going to get to see this fight, because I think Errol Spence might outgrow the welterweight division. I don't think Errol Spence has got long in the welterweight division. I know Errol Spence is already talking about moving up and fighting Canelo and fighting at higher weight classes. That's probably because Errol Spence now is getting to that age where he's struggling to make welterweight. Let's not forget Errol Spence is a huge welterweight. He's not a small welterweight. He's a big welterweight. So how long is he going to be able to stay at that weight? I don't think it's going to be that long. Personally, I don't think it's going to be that long. So Errol Spence has got to try and make that fight this year. Errol Spence should try to make the fight with Crawford way more than he's trying to make the fight with Pacquiao. Because the Crawford fight will define his legacy a lot more. By him beating Pacquiao, people will say Pacquiao was old. He was 42. He can only get exposed by fighting Pacquiao. Even though Pacquiao's a legend, he's only going to get exposed because if he looks bad in that fight, people are going to say he struggled against a 42-year-old. Right? If Pacquiao beats him, then whoa, that's just knocked him for 6. If he beats Pacquiao, even beats him well, people are going to say, well, Pacquiao was past his best. Crawford is a legacy-defining fight because there's going to be no excuses. Yeah, people may say, well, Spence was bigger and Crawford hadn't fought anybody. But nevertheless, it's a legacy-defining fight. Everybody in world boxing is going to tune in, all the hardcore, because I don't think this is a fight that's going to appeal to the casuals. It may do, but I don't think it's going to be like, a Fury Joshua or a Wilder Joshua. I don't think this is going to appeal to the casuals. I don't think this is a fight that is going to do that crazy. I don't think it's going to do crazy numbers. Put it that way. It's not, because I don't think either guy have that kind of profile or have that kind of name where they appeal to the masses like some of the heavyweights or some of the other fighters in the past, like a Mayweather or Pacquiao did. So unfortunately, I don't think it's going to do huge numbers like that. And that's why I think Errol Spence wants to fight Canelo, because he knows that could be a super fight and a fight where he gets paid, what, $20-25 million. So I can understand why he wants to fight Canelo. But in terms of Crawford and Spence, this is just a fight that I think Errol Spence needs to happen this year, because I think Errol Spence will outgrow the welterweight division. If it doesn't happen in 2021, I can't see the fight happening. Just because in 2022, I don't know whether Errol Spence is still going to be a welterweight. Let's not forget he's getting older. He's getting older, and he's already a big welterweight that struggles to make the weight. It's not easy for him. And we know that Errol Spence, after fights, he does blow up. But that's not because, I don't think he blows up because he's not disciplined. I just think he blows up because 147 is very tight for him to get to. The reason why a lot of these guys that are called weight bullies, you know why they're called weight bullies? Because really they shouldn't be fighting at that weight. They struggle really bad and they cut a lot of weight to make that weight, right? Look at Mayweather and Pacquiao. They weren't even natural 147 guys. They were just very skilled. And when you're very skilled, you were able to fight bigger men. And because you're so skilled, you can beat them. Problem is with Errol Spence is that he's fighting at a weight class where he started at 147. He's not a natural. He doesn't walk around at 147 or 150 or even 155. He walks around at 170 plus, right? Because that's how big he is. His frame, his body frame, his size. He walks around easy 170 plus. And he doesn't walk around at 170 plus like fat. He's probably lean at that weight, And I think because when you look at him at 147, when he weighs in at 147, he kind of looks almost unhealthy. Like literally, there's no body fat on him. He's literally ripped to the bone, And I personally think he's a 154 or one. I think he could easily fight at 154 or 160. He's definitely going to move up. But in terms of the Canelo fight at 168, I think that's a stretch too far. There's no way he can move up 21 pounds naturally and compete with the super middleweights. They're too big. I think the max would be 160, and even those guys would be huge. That's max 160. You know, if you look at the Charlos, for example, one Charlo's fighting at 154, one Charlo's fighting at 160. When I look at those Charlos and I look at Spence, there's a big size difference in my opinion. Charlo's huge, like his arms and everything. Like he's just a massive guy, you know. And Spence, I don't believe, like Spence has got more skinny frame, a frame that can be filled out as he moves up weight classes. But those guys are just big. When I look at them, both Charlos just look huge. You know, they must be walking around 190. I reckon they're huge. You know, and I think Spence, at what, you know, I think he will move up. But in terms of the Crawford, back to the Crawford fight, I think the Crawford fight is a fight that needs to happen in 2021. If it doesn't, we may never see this fight because, like I said, Errol Spence may outgrow the welterweight division, and I don't believe Crawford is going to chase Spence. And what I mean by that is Crawford is going to look to... Crawford has said he wants to become undisputed welterweight champion. He doesn't care about Spence. He just wants to become undisputed welterweight world champion. So he doesn't care about facing Errol Spence. Errol Spence is just a guy that he knows he has to face in order to become undisputed. He's not interested about fighting Spence. Like I said, he's got a goal. And a lot of these guys are like that. Golovkin was like that. Golovkin wanted all the belts. He wasn't really interested. He wanted to fight Canelo because of the payday, but he also wanted to collect all the belts. Right, at 160. And I think Crawford is the same. Crawford's happy because Crawford knows he's going to make a lot of money regardless. He may be happy making $4 or $5 million a fight. He may never get that big payday like $20, $25 million. And Spence might not ever get that payday unless he fights Canelo. So that's why he's gunning for that Canelo fight. Because he knows from a payday point of view, it's a huge payday. So you can't blame the guy for wanting that payday. But again, I think the legacy-defining fight for him right now is Crawford. But like I said, it needs to happen this year, in my opinion. If not, then God knows whether that fight will ever happen. But we're all hoping it happens. I think it's got a good chance, especially if Crawford leaves Bob Arum. I think there's a great chance. While Bob Arum is promoting Crawford, I can't see it happening. I can't see it happening because if Fox and Al Heyman know that Crawford's contract's coming to an end, right? They're not going to want to share that fight when they know it's not that big a fight financially with Bob Arum, when they know they can just wait until his contract runs down, and then fight Spence after. When his contract runs down, then negotiate with Crawford and they can just do it on Fox. So I think if his contract's running out and Crawford's not signing with Bob Arum, then it just makes sense for them to wait. And then when it does run out and he contacts Al Heyman and Fox, then I think they'll make the fight then, because it'll be all on the Fox platform then. So let's see what happens. Leave your thoughts. Do you agree with Abel Sanchez that that Spence will walk Crawford down and knock him out? What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys all in the next video. Peace.